turn off the engine, turn off the engine. What are you doing? Stop, stop, stop. One of my personal favorite parts about being a flight instructor for so many hours is really some of the wild stories you get out of students. And not necessarily them telling you the story, but some of the life experiences that you end up living with them is just absolutely unbelievable sometimes. So a little bit of what I was doing at the time, I was originally flight instructing at a school that had contracts with various airlines. And this airline in particular, I was told from day one was the creme de la creme, you know, the best of the best students. As a matter of fact, this airline had kind of set the stage for this flight school. It had set up the program for other airlines to have the desire to attend this school. And so they were supposed to be the best, you know, the hardest workers, the brightest and best. They had been through so many different interviews by the airline themselves to evaluate whether or not this person was somebody who they wanted to have on their team, and then they had to be approved. And then this is one of the few airlines where they effectively sponsored the student to go through this program. But once again, it was supposed to be this very grueling process for the student and really be a difficult thing for them to achieve. And so my first batch of these students, I'll say I had a higher expectation level in terms of what to have, and I always tried to keep an open mind, though. Obviously, when you're teaching private pilot students, they don't know anything about aviation, so you can't really have very high expectations, but at least for their work ethic and all these interviews that they had gone through, I had a certain expectation of what to expect with these guys, and so far all the other instructors I had talked to had really awesome experiences with them, and they had been really, really great. And so anyways, I was looking forward to working with these guys. And at this point, I probably had about 1,000 hours of dual given, maybe 1,500 to 2,000, somewhere in there. And so these students were the nicest guys, really friendly, really fun. They had come from a different country, and they were eager, to say the least, and they were very, very serious about what they were doing. So they show up, and I'm doing my first couple lessons with them, and I'm feeling pretty good. They had shown up, and they had done so much pre-prep and pre-study and so much work just to get to a point where they could start flight training, which I got to be honest, compared to what I was doing as a flight student, it was way above and beyond what I had ever done. So my confidence level was feeling a little bit better, and typically the way that I ran my program with the private pilot students was I would walk with them, at least initially, through quite a few pre-flights, typically 2 to 3 pre-flights at least, to get them familiar with the plane, get them familiar with the checklist items, where things are located at, and then after that, I would have them start doing the pre-flight inspection on their own, and then I would go out there and verify maybe any questions that they had, which inevitably usually people are going to have questions after 3 pre-flights. It's especially being new to aviation, it's kind of this big task typically. So, you know, flight number 4, I kind of do like a little evaluation where they go out there, they try it, and then if they have any questions, they come back to me and ask me the questions, and I'll help them with whatever else they needed. And then hopefully by pre-flight 5, 6, you know, they're kind of doing it on their own. They don't have too many questions, and they're feeling a little bit more confident in the airplane. So that's what I did. Today is day number 3 with these guys in terms of flying, and so this is our, you know, really our first week and a half of flight training. They've been through 3, 4 grounds. They've been out there, and they started. It's their 3rd flight together. And the way that we ran this program with these guys is that we would take a pair of students, and then we would block them out for maybe 4 to 5 hours of flying. And we would kind of do a flip-flop with them. So one would observe, and then one would fly, and then we'd come back, and we'd get out of the airplane and flip-flop and do the exact same thing over again. And that way you get kind of a double dip of what maybe the maneuvers are, what the lesson is for the day, and you get to observe it, and you get to do it yourself. So these guys had effectively been in about 6 different flights at this point, so they're feeling a little bit more confident in what's going on. Today, pre-flight number 3, I send the students out and I let them go pre-flight themselves. And I guess I didn't maybe fully explain all the expectation. I guess. I'll let you guys figure that out, but I had them go out on their own. It's the very first time going on their own. I told them exactly what I just said of, hey, go out there, check out the airplane, make sure it looks good. I'm going to be back out there. If you have any questions, just write it down, and I'll answer any questions you have, and we'll review it together, and then I'll come out and I'll check out the airplane. They say, yes, sir, okay, I'm going to go out there and go do it. So they go run outside, they go start pre-flighting the airplane. I wait about 10 minutes or so, and I start walking out. And I'll never forget this. As I'm walking outside, I'm passing this hangar row, and it takes a little bit of time to get out to the airplane. They're kind of far away from the building where I was located, so I can't see them from the building. But as I get onto the ramp, I see the airplane that we're supposed to be flying in, and the engine's running, which was not what I was expecting at all. And these two guys, one of them is sitting in the back seat, the other one is sitting in the left seat of the plane. The guy in the left seat is literally hanging outside of the passenger window because I'm approaching from the passenger side. And at this point, I'm maybe like 40 yards out. He's leaning out the passenger window, waving at me. The guy in the back seat is leaning forward, waving at me from the back seat. And the two of them have the biggest smile on their face. Airplane is creeping forward. Engine is running. I'm like, what are you doing? Turn off the engine, turn off the engine. What are you doing? Stop, stop, stop. And so I give them kind of a signal, and their face very rapidly changes from big smiles to turn the engine off. And I think that they got the point by my hand gestures. And I'm looking at these guys and, basically give them a little breakdown that, dude, we do not start the airplane unless, well, number one, all of us are out there at the plane. I'm in the seat. We're all comfortable with what's going on. And it was a huge lesson for me as an instructor to make sure my expectations are stated clearly, because apparently they did not get that. And they were trying to be helpful and do the best they could, but shoot, these guys had very little time in the plane, and they're basically creeping forward out of a parking spot with their third flight. It was a very interesting event, and not the only one I had with these guys. They, to say the least, throughout their training, I was pulling my hair out quite a few times. They were challenging. Sometimes I question whether or not they thought about what they were doing, but anyways, it was fun. It led to some great stories. Hey gang, here from Hangar Talk. Thank you so much for plugging into the channel, liking, subscribing. We appreciate all you continuous subscribers, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.